Dude, finally we get to link up in person. Yeah. So this sure beats the virtual podcasting for sure.
Yes,
so
100%.
Anybody who may be watching who doesn't know who this gentleman is, this is Matt Murray, aka the Blue Collar King. We did a podcast, man, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe even a year ago, it seems like.
Yeah.
And we never aired it because the quality of the audio was so bad. And so I made a decision. I don't want to do any more virtual podcasts. I will travel or have somebody else travel. We'll link up some random city and rent some studio, and we'll just get it done. So thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, is that your plan, really? You're going to no more Zoom or no more virtual?
Zooms. No.
All in person?
All in person.
Nice. Yeah. Well, this is my first in person, so.
Perfect.
Yeah, I've never done one in person, so it's definitely a different feel.
I feel like you lose a dynamic of that real interaction with somebody, right?
Yeah.
Where like I can feel your energy, whereas if it's just on camera, you don't quite get the same.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're in person, it's definitely a different energy. Like me just sitting here, I can already tell like it's a different vibe than, us being on the other side of monitors. So, yeah, absolutely.
Man. Yeah, so a lot of people have seen you on social media, right? Blue Collar King. What is the Blue Collar King? I should say, what and who is the Blue Collar King?
Let's start with, Let's start with who, right? So a little bit more about me. I started off blue collar. I was literally born into a blue collar family. I think right on the delivery table, my parents handed me a hammer, right? That's just kind of the family that I had. Hardcore blue collar dad, construction, mechanic. Mom worked at Gemco and grocery stores, and then she had a restaurant, and then my dad opened up an auto repair shop. So that's kind of how the journey started. And then I got introduced to into HVAC in 1997. We had a family friend that had a commercial and industrial union shop in LA, and I started off there in 97. I got introduced to Bruce. Bruce was the owner, and I went to Cypress College to do the HVAC training program, which was really cool. I fell in love with HVAC. I always loved working on cars, and I loved electronics. I did car stereo systems and stuff like that. So when I learned about HVAC, all these different mechanical things and piping and welding and brazing with all the electrical and circuit boards and all that stuff, I really fell in love because I like all that stuff. So started off in 97 in HVAC, and then our company that I worked for, we did commercial industrial service, we did retro replace, and then we also had a big construction division. The construction department was not doing so hot, so the business ended up closing, and I got laid off. So in June of 2003, I went off and just started doing some residential side jobs, and it was summertime, and I wasn't really worried about it. I would do in the union, and I was a good technician, so I wasn't too concerned. I just told myself, hey, I'll do a couple side jobs, and then I'll go look for a place to work here in a month or two. So one thing led to the next, and the side jobs just one after the other, and then I found my first commercial account, and here I am 21 plus years later with my own business, still on my summer side job, that is Evolution Mechanical. I started another company called Ecotech Refrigeration in 2014 with a couple of partners that we built off the backbone of Evolution. I exited that business per the plan, and then through my journey of development and learning how to scale and trying to grow the business and ups and downs and peaks and valleys, I learned about coaching and personal development and systems and scaling and leadership and mindset and all these things that you need to know about growing a business besides actually how to fix or replace HVAC equipment. And I went all in on that journey. Everything that I do it in maximum full throttle mode, or I don't do it at all. Sometimes to my benefit, sometimes to my demise, right? So I went all in with learning and self-discovery and personal development, and I fell in love with it. And once I got things working well in my business, I decided that I wanted to go out in the industry and help other blue-collar business owners to collapse time. And what that means to me is being able to get to where you want to go faster. We all have a journey when we go off to, fulfill the American dream of being an entrepreneur and starting our own business. Everybody thinks and wants it to happen more efficiently. And unfortunately, it's a beast. It's hard to scale a business.
It is.
And I spent over a decade beating my head against the wall trying to figure it out on my own, right? I think you just told me your last podcast was pride and ego. Well, when I started my business for over a decade, I had way too much of both of those.
Story of our lives.
Way too much pride and ego, right? I'm going to figure it out myself. Trial and error mindset plus pride plus ego, which is an amazing thing to have and embrace as a technician when you're on the roof or in the attic or whatever working on air conditioning equipment. But that mindset as an entrepreneur, I found out, can be suicidal. So that's how the Blue Collar King was born. I still have Evolution today. I own that outright 100%. I don't have any partners or any investors. Man. Thank you. I have an entire leadership team and an amazing culture of people that I love, and we take care of each other, and they run the business. So I truly own the business now. I don't operate in it. I bought myself a job for 20 years.
The business doesn't own you.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So I'm finally at a place now through my massive investment in myself and learning how to scale businesses and scale people to where I can have the freedom and the bandwidth to go out now and as the Blue Collar King, help other people get to where they want to go quicker, faster, easier.
I think that's super important, where I'm at in my own personal life. I spent my HVAC career going to bat for consumers, right? Doing jobs for customers and selling jobs to customers and trying to, run a business of integrity, right? And now this whole tactical game, right? I've switched gears where I'm really going to bat for the contractors in the industry. And you're doing very much the same thing. So I totally get it. I understand. But yeah, it's quite the change of pace. Yes, for sure.
100%.
And you're still running a business, or your business is running itself essentially, right? Your team of people. But I was in California not that long ago, a couple months ago, and saw an Evolution van rolling down the freeway.
Yep.
So I was like, hey, I know that guy. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man. So you got into this whole training thing. Obviously, you're doing pretty well at it, and you're coaching people, getting people to be more successful in what they're doing, right? Getting people maybe out of the vehicle, right, and not working on the business, not in the business, as they would say, right? But then you also wrote a book.
I did.
Right.
Yep.
And in that book, it talks about pillars.
Yes.
Right. Why don't you give us a little bit on that?
Yeah. So what I came to realize along my journey is that we think as business owners that if we get the business right, that our life will have the life that we want. So everybody chases fix the business, grow the business with their pride and ego, and they don't get help to figure out how to do that quicker, faster. And I did that same journey. Like I said, I spent 10 or 15 years trying to get my business right while my personal life was absolute chaos, a wreck, overworked. I mean, just burning it to the ground, literally burning it on both ends and in the middle. Almost lost, the girlfriend turned wife, and then almost lost the wife and family. And it's just, it's chaos. It's insane. And what I came to realize is that if you can flip the script on that, if you can actually work on yourself and look in the mirror and build the life you want, that then cascades into the business you want. So I like to call this looking at things from two perspectives. One, the business plan, and then one, the businessman. And if we can work on both concurrently, developing both simultaneously, that's where the real magic happens. But everyone focuses on work harder, work harder, work harder, work harder, work longer, put more into the business, thinking that that's the answer. That's the solution. And I chased that same lie, if you will, for a long time. And what I realized is there was one common denominator in my business as to why it wasn't becoming what I wanted it to become. It wasn't growing at the rate of speed that I wanted it to, or it would grow. We would whip it up to a certain size, right? And it would make money and make profit, and I'd have a good team, but then there was this retraction. We'd go backwards. It was literally up and down, peaks and valleys. And what I came to realize after I finally got my first real coach was that there was this one common denominator in everything. Because I kept looking for what's the problem? The vendors, I have the wrong employees, I got the wrong customers. I'm just looking everywhere why can't I find the problem with what I want?
Staring you in the mirror.
Exactly. And so I got my coach, and we sat down, we had our first meeting, and he's like, I want you to just tell me what you want, right, in your personal life and your professional life. And I'm like, all right, cool. I love this. All right, finally, I get getting some help, and someone's asking me some different questions, and I'm not alone anymore. All right, cool. So we kind of mapped it out. And then he's like, okay, so I want you to like write down all the problems, like all the things that are wrong everywhere, right? And I'm writing it down and talking to him. And we spent like an hour and a half on this. And we go through it and I'm telling him this. He's like, okay, cool. Yeah, that's terrible. You know, oh my gosh, yeah. And then we get to the end of the list and he looks at me like square in the eyes, you know, like this. And he goes, is everything on the list? And I'm like, yeah, I think well, let me go back through, right? He's okay, are you sure? Like, I'm like, yeah, I got like everything's on the list. He goes, let me see it. So I look, show it to him. He goes, I think there's one thing missing. And I'm like,
still not
I don't think so. Like, I've literally dumped out my brain, you know, like an hour and a half, 2 hours or whatever, like everything wrong everywhere in my world, with my wife, with my business, my mom, everything I could find or think about, right? And he goes, do you want some help? And I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I hired you, duh. He goes, I there's one major problem here in the equation that I don't see on the list. And I go, what? Tell me. And he goes, I'm looking at it. And I went, what?
Yeah, still not getting
turned
it.
around, I'm like, what? Me? Certainly I'm not the freaking problem. So yeah, that was the beginning of what I will call my journey of swallowing that first big hairy pill of discomfort. When you have to look in the mirror and go, holy moly, I'm the common denominator. So
well, we are our worst enemies, right?
100%.
And we're the ones standing in our own way. Mm-hmm. And you know, a lot of things in life have been done before. Yes. But yet somehow we think we are going to get in there with no knowledge of how it's done and just get in there and do it better than anybody else has done it. And reality is you're not, right?
You're not.
Very few will get lucky, right?
Yep.
And that's really all it is you got lucky and you surrounded yourself with the right people, right? And they did it for you, essentially. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that a lot of people don't realize that they are the problem, right?
Yep.
And in order to throttle through, like, your business will never grow more than you are.
100%.
So, and I think a lot of people fail to realize that.
Right.
So they have dreams, right,
Yes.
of running these huge companies or a really profitable business, or, man, I want to buy a plane, or I want to buy this boat, or I want to buy this beach house, whatever the case may be. Nothing wrong with any of that, right? But what are you doing? So if your business grew from a million to 2 million, did you grow with the business? Right? That's the real question. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that, like, that is a mandatory thing.
Mandatory.
Has to do it.
It's absolute. It's as sure as gravity, right? Like, if you drop a pen, you drop it, it goes down.
Right.
That connection, that correlation of what you just said, relationship to business growth and personal growth, it's a law in the universe.
Yep.
It's absolute.
Yeah. And I can tell you, just from me personally, and the amount of growth that I've personally done in the last 2 years, you know, going through divorce and, you know, losing my business and, you know what I mean? And I say losing my business, I walked away from my business. I had a business partner. And I mean, it was like a slap in the face, like rude awakening, like, what's going on here, right? And so, yeah, it's, you know, thinking that I had it all together, you know, but I mean, I was just like you, just grinding away, you know, 16-hour days, thinking like, this is what it takes to build this thing. And I think that there's I don't want to get it confused, because it does take hard work.
Yes.
Right. And a lot of people don't want to put in that hard work. Right. But then again, some people put in too much work.
Right.
And everything else around you is basically laid down on the altar to be sacrificed. Right.
100%.
And I think you have to try to find that balance. I think you said it once. I remember it, man, it was probably 9 months ago, a year ago maybe. He's like, there is no work-life balance. I don't know. Was that you that said that?
Yeah, I don't like that. Everyone's searching for work-life balance, and the way I like to visualize that, and we kind of talked about my book and the pillars and what the pillars are, just to kind of recap that. I see life holistically and objectively in 5 pillars: faith and mindset, family and relationships, fitness, health, and nutrition, finance and serving, and then foundation. So I like allocation and or synchronization. balance insinuates to me that every pillar, if you're looking at your life objectively, they should all equal the same.
Right.
And the way we as humans look at things is in measure of time. So you would want to think when you say balance that, oh, if I work 8 hours and I have 8 hours of personal time, so things are in balance. Everybody has different aspirations and goals. So what I like to do is when I'm working with people on this particular thing here is we like to build a map or a blueprint, and then we allocate, because what your allocation for what you want to do in each of the pillars is different than what somebody else might want to do. Everybody's different and has different goals and aspirations. So I like allocations better, but then measuring so I can see objectively how I'm doing in each pillar and then look backwards and improve. Most people are, like what you said, just working. And it's not about working. It's about working on the right things. Mm-hmm. It's about focusing on what matters. The measure of time, linear time, has nothing to do with success or results or productivity or effectiveness. It's what you're working on that matters.
So it's funny because I remember you also saying one time, when you're spending time with your kids aren't going to remember the minutes.
Correct.
Right? They're going to remember the moments.
Correct.
And that really just stuck to me.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can sit down and watch a movie. Yeah, you're together for 2 hours, right? But
100%.
What was the moment? They're not going to remember, oh, he sat on the couch with me for 120 minutes.
Yeah, I don't remember that with my dad, right? And you don't either. Nobody does. We don't remember like those quantifiable hours of time spent together. We remember the magic. Like this July, we moved to Huntington Beach. And there was a big parade in Huntington Beach. And I don't know if you know what gem cars are, but they're like these electric cars. You can drive them around in Orange County, and they go really slow, and they're kind of open doors, kind of like an electric golf cart, a 4-seater. So I went and bought one like 2 days before the 4th of July, and my wife was like, what the heck? We don't need that, and blah, blah, blah. And literally all I wanted to do with that thing is just be with my family on the 4th of July, cruising around the beach in this electric gem car, golf cart kind of thing, because I knew that experience, Dad showing up with this weird electric car, that was going to plant a precious moment in the mindset of my kids, literally for the rest of their lives. We still use the gem car today, but if I only got that one moment, that one day, 4th of July,
was worth it.
It was that. It's done. Game over, mic drop right there, right? So that's what it's all about. It's about the experiences, not about the time.
So in your book, you talk about these 5 different pillars.
Yeah.
What pillar do you feel was the hardest one for you to jump over?
The hardest one for me, and still is today, because I'm a foodie. I'm a fat kid at heart, right? It's always for me what I call it my kryptonite pillar. Everybody has 1 or 2 kryptonite pillars that are holding you back everywhere in your life. My kryptonite pillar is fitness, health, and nutrition. I love to eat. I absolutely hate exercise. I've never been into sports. I'm a motorhead. I'm a gearhead. I like pizza, burritos, hamburgers, hot dogs, and I used to love smashing a 30 pack a day, right? So that was always my challenging pillar. And I've now got my mindset clean around that. I've got massive discipline. I don't have the body that I want today, but I used to be 300 pounds. I've lost a tremendous...
Doing pretty good.
Lost a tremendous amount of weight. I'm at the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and I don't like it. I never wake up and go, yay, I get to go to the gym right now, right? But I know I have to. I have to pay that price. I have to sacrifice to go, to pay, to build the discipline in that particular kryptonite pillar. And when you can build discipline around your kryptonite pillar, it lifts all the other pillars up. The tide comes up in your whole life when you can figure out what's holding you back and attack that.
Yeah, they say a rising tide lifts all boats.
Boom, exactly.
Yeah, so it's funny, I was just had this conversation a couple of days ago about how you can pay for a lot of conveniences in life, right? You want your teeth to be fixed, go pay a dentist. Boom, right? You're in and out in a day. You got brand new teeth if you want, right? You get your face lifted up, right? Or get fake whatever you want on your body nowadays, right? Like literally whatever you want nowadays. But one thing that you can't just magically pay for it to go away is your health and your fitness, right? Like there's a price to be paid for that, right?
Massive
and a
price.
lot of people in our generation are just too lazy.
Yes.
They just don't want to put in the work.
Correct.
And that's even if you're talking about fitness, right? That's why there's so much obesity today, right? Because people they don't want to put in the effort to go do it.
Yes.
And business really is no other no different, right? It's, hey, I'm comfortable where I'm at, right? I'm business obese, I guess, right?
Yep.
I'm here, I'm doing my thing, I'm making okay money, I'm in my comfort zone.
Yeah.
And the comfort zone is where dreams go to die. Right?
Absolutely.
So,
no, I love the way you said that. It is 100%. Everybody wants a magic pill, right? And you can be overweight. You can go get a surgery or take some pills, but it doesn't fix the underlying problem. You're overeating, you have an obsessive behavior there because there's something else wrong inside. So if you go have surgery or lose weight or whatever by some shortcut, you still have a psychological thing going on that you need to address. And while you might not be able to gain weight anymore because you've physically modified your body, you're still going to have other self-sabotaging behaviors somewhere else in your life that are still holding you back.
Yep.
And I love what you said about speaking about life and growth and business growth, and metaphorically relating it to a gym. It is kind of the same thing, right? Like you can't go sign up for a gym membership, hire a personal trainer, and then not go to the gym. Right? Like just because you have the membership and they're charging your credit card and you Zelle your trainer every week doesn't mean you're getting in shape. Yeah. And building your business and building your life is the same thing. Just because you hire a coach and pay them every month, if you're not showing up to the business and mindset gym, nothing's going to change. Yeah. You have to do the work. There is no secret pill. People always they call me, they text me, I want to work with you. They get on board. They're like, okay, show me. I'm like, show you what? They're like, the magic pill. What's hiding, right? And it's the same thing everyone's looking for in all the free Facebook groups and trying to find at all the conferences and events and stuff, right? They believe there's this magical glowing nugget that if you just get the nugget, everything in your whole life goes boom, and you just go to exactly where you want. I'm like,
if that was the case, don't you think everybody would do
everybody,
it?
Yeah.
They would pay whatever price for it.
It's just not. Yeah. Here's the magic pill everywhere in life, in all pillars. The people that are successful have committed to doing stuff they hate doing or don't want to do over and 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 over again. And getting help, right? Getting a personal trainer, getting into a gym, whether it be a physical gym, a mindset gym, a business gym. You have to buy intellect if you want speed, and then you have to have massive discipline and execution. There's no magic pill.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. There's just not. There's no magic pill.
And there you have it, folks. Yeah, I think a lot of people just have this huge disconnect, right? And we live in a world of convenience, so they're spending their whole life searching for this stuff, right?
Spending decades looking for the pill.
And tons of money.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I did it.
I think it all starts...
I did that damn same thing. I looked for that, once I invested in the personal development and the coaching and the help, I was still wanting the quick fix, the magic pill, the golden nugget. It's not there.
Yeah, I think we live in a world of convenience, so we're taught by culture that this is the way that it is, right? But it's a facade, right? It's a lie. Yeah. And I think it all boils down to your mindset, which is why I always say it's a mindset, right? Yes. And that's why we talk on the podcast, it's behind the mindset, right? Yes. What does it take to throttle through life as a human being, right? Not just HVAC guys, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your career is. Doesn't matter if you're a man. Doesn't matter if you're a woman. It takes the right mindset, right? You want to be healthy physically. It takes the mindset and the discipline of going to the gym, right? Or doing push-ups at your house. You don't have to go to a gym, right?
Anything.
Or putting your shoes on and going running for the morning, whatever the case may be. But yeah, so obviously a lot of people struggle with that pillar in their lives.
Absolutely.
So if that was the hardest pillar for you to jump over, what was the easiest pillar for you to jump over?
Oh man, I think while I talk about not having the business I want, I could make money. And there's a big difference. You and I were talking about this before we started the podcast. We can hustle, right? There's a big difference between an individual being able to go out and hustle and make some money or do some side jobs or start up their own business, and you can control yourself. So I could always make money. And when I worked for other companies, I was always very successful because I like to learn and I hate to lose. Ego and pride, right?
Sure.
So ego and pride working for other companies got me up the ladder and got me up the rank. So I was paid very well. And then ego and pride, I did pretty good self-employed in what I would call that hustle mindset. So that's probably my easiest pillar. Now that pillar got hard when I had to learn how to attract other humans to come to work for me and build an actual company. So when it went from like a backyard Barney business or a lifestyle business to actually deciding and committing to actually grow the business, that's when the game changed. That's when that pillar got harder for me. And then I also struggled with the faith pillar for a while. I was raised Catholic, and then I kind of just went atheist for most of my life. And then through my self-discovery journey, I came back to Christ, and I'm on the walk now on my spiritual path. But I think for most of my life, not having any spiritual structure in my life also held me back. And now that I'm dialed into that, now that I'm tapped in, if you will, that's magical. I mean, faith is a beautiful thing. And faith in the context of mindset, that's like a superpower.
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, over the last couple of years for me, my personal faith has just skyrocketed, and I'm super grounded. And I said on a podcast actually here in Dallas a couple months back, like, if the Lord told me to go do something else and abandon all of this, like I'd do it, know, I just need him to be clear, hey, this is what I want you to do. So obedience to the Lord is like, I just want that in my life, like how much better are you off when you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, and being where you're supposed to be because he wants you to be there, the creator of all things, right? Like, don't you think that's better than where you want to be?
Yeah, 1,000%.
Yeah.
The best way, so in my book, I talk about this thing called the thermostat, right? And it's not the device on the wall that activates the Y or the W circuit. It activates the Y or the W in your brain, okay? We're going to call this the enemy, aka self-sabotage. So the way I found is that there's a connection to your thermostat and your life everywhere. Your abundance, your fulfillment, your fruit, your business, your relationships, your family. And when you can understand fundamentally that there's an enemy inside of you, and we won't get too spiritual here today. We don't have enough time because you and I could probably spend all day long talking about that. Just understand that there's an enemy. There's a thermostat inside of you, also connected to your identity and your self-worth. What you believe subconsciously you are worth, you will control that everywhere in your life. If you believe you're worth a $1 million business subconsciously, even though you want a $100 million business, once things warm up, and in this context, warming up is a good thing. Obviously, for people in AC, usually warming up is a bad thing. But with this internal thermostat in your brain, when things warm up, you get more fruit, more money, better business, life gets better. Your relationship with your wife starts to get on fire, right? Your thermostat will kick on. And you will start to throw landmines and grenades right in front of yourself. And this is called self-sabotage. And until you understand this dynamic, it doesn't matter how many coaches you hire. It doesn't matter how many events, seminars, gurus, expos, things, personal development, this or that you do, because you are controlling your own destiny, and that's tied directly to your identity. So until you can change the container, the frame of your identity, it doesn't matter what you do with your life, your thermostat will turn on and it'll cool you right back off. So here's what I've learned. And I'm speaking about myself, right? Because I had that. I went through that for a long time until I learned through my coach about the thermostat. And then I realized about self-sabotaging behaviors. And once he enlightened me to this, I had the tools to see it, and I had the help to help prevent. Since I've decided to really turn up my faith pillar, the best, most amazing tool to up level and uplift your frame, your identity, and get a better thermostat is God.
Yep. 1,000%.
And I know a lot of you are probably like, oh no, here they go,
Pause
right?
button.
Pause button.
Yeah. Next video.
Take it from the guy that was an atheist for most of his life, right? Trust me. I was the guy that wanted nothing to do with God or Jesus or religion or church or anything. I was the science guy. I was the Big Bang Theory guy. I was a no. And guess what? My thermostat kept me right there.
Yep.
And I was literally, my ship was hijacked by the enemy, controlling me and keeping me right on my ceiling, exactly where I was supposed to be. Yeah. No matter how many systems, coaches, gurus, help, therapists, or whatever, writing the thermostat.
It's funny that you bring that up because I've had several conversations with people where I've actually stopped asking people what they do.
Yep.
And more, I want to know, who are you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like for years, and this is me personally, I wrapped myself up, my identity was wrapped up in my career, right?
Yep.
So what do you do? Man, I do HVAC. I'm third generation. I do this, I do that, right? And it's like, that's who I was. If you strip HVAC away from me in that moment, it's like, well, who am I anymore?
Yeah,
well,
love it.
I don't know, dude.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, I got some kids, you know, and I guess I got some friends, right? So I was so like just entrenched with my identity, and was basically on a level playing field with HVAC, right? Like that's who I was, and I've had to come to realize like HVAC is not who I am.
You are.
No.
Yeah.
No, HVAC is just what I do.
Right. We're always attached. We're always trying for safety. Okay, ego. We're always trying to attach to purpose. It gives us a sense of security. And we're always looking for we talked about this a minute ago, right? As humans, guess what we're looking for? The easiest, quickest way to do everything, right? So what do we do subconsciously? We're looking for the quickest, easiest route to attach to some sense of purpose, aka identity, and then we get hyper locked on that. And then you go. Your body, your brain takes you to your identity. So if you know that, you can reverse engineer. You can go backwards. You can go, oh, like what you're saying right now. I see. I formed an identity, and I went that way.
And it was a false identity.
It's a false identity, right? And through lots of false evidence that we come to see information, and we go, yeah, that sounds good. We validate it with our ego. And then we want to be right. So if it's a self-fulfilling story, aka well, in the psychological world we call it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Then we go that way over and over and over and over again. What the blue collar king calls this is the hamster wheel.
And we've all been there.
100%.
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, you can't find fulfillment, true fulfillment anyway. You can find temporary fulfillment.
Yes.
But you can't find true fulfillment in a career. You can't find it in friends. You can't find it in a new sports car. Right.
Yep.
You can't find it in a bank account full of money. Right. Some of the most unhappy people I've ever met are loaded, you know, and they think that money is going to bring them happiness, and it may fulfill, you know, fleshly desires for a while, right? But eventually, it's like, man, this is just empty. Like, how many more cars can I buy?
Exactly.
How many more houses can I buy?
You're chasing a hole. The hole you're chasing
is a God-shaped hole.
It's a God hole, right? I had a God hole forever, whether you want to believe it or not. And some of you are probably disagreeing or will when you listen to this, and that's okay. I disagreed for a long time too, and that false identity, there's no way around it. You can get out of it quicker, but you have to go through it. Everybody has to go through the false identity, and it starts from when we're little kids and the way we were brought up with our parents, our mother, our father, or lack thereof. As little kids, we start forming a false identity, and most people never get help to create their true identity, their true north. That has to be facilitated. It's virtually, humanly, physically, spiritually, intellectually impossible to unlock yourself from your false frame, your false container that you put yourself into. No one is self-made. No one in the history of mankind has ever been self-made. We are community-made. We are tribe-made. We are God-made. And there's no way out of your jail cell that you're living in without help.
That's good, man.
You can't get it.
That's good stuff.
Yeah, it is good stuff.
Yeah, so the faith pillar for me has been epic in my life, and it is my true foundation. It's who I am, and everything else revolves around that, right? So, you know, HVAC Tactical, an HVAC company, whether it be, you know, other businesses that I've had or have, that all comes secondary, you know?
Love it.
So
yeah, I love how you presented that and talked about, like, what do you do, you know, and it's, once you start to look in the mirror and you start to work on yourself, getting a purpose, that's when your life gets on fire. When you get aligned in your lane of what God made you to do, And the way you can tell if you're close to being in that lane, and you could have a false lane for a while, which again is part of the journey. Like we start off, a technician, and I want to be the best, duck guy. I want to be the best change-out guy, or I want to be the package unit guy or the chiller guy or whatever. That sense of identity, that fulfills you for a while. Or I want to be a millionaire, or I want to be a billionaire. But then you get there, you get to the thing. Like I remember being an industrial technician, like working on the chillers is like, oh, you think you've made it, right? So I worked really hard to learn about chillers and learn about EMS systems and controls and programming and all that stuff. And then I got there, and I'm like,
now what?
Wait, what?
This
is all it is? Where's that magical
Yeah.
feeling? Where's that fulfillment I'm looking
Where's my
for,
crown?
right? Right, but I had no idea. But then it was like, okay, let me find the next false identity. Oh, maybe I need to be a leader. Oh, yeah, that's the thing I need. So you point north on that. Oh, maybe I need to be a manager. Okay, cool, got it. Maybe I need to learn about construction, pipe fitting, welding. So you just keep chasing the next thing. Then it becomes money. Then it becomes the car.
Yeah.
Then the boat. Then the whatever. So you're always chasing the next thing, trying to get the fulfillment.
Well, not to be confused with your gifts too, right? Like
Right.
you could be an extremely talented service guy or
For
install
sure.
guy, right? Like,
Yes.
dude, for sure, that's where you need to be, right?
Right.
But you can't wrap up your identity in
Right.
being the best installer in town, right?
Correct.
Or in the
Yep.
country,
Right.
or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
If you can find purpose, and then that aligns to a service manager role or a foreman role or whatever,
Yeah.
beautiful. God did make lots of people to be service managers or technicians or foremen or whatever, but you need help figuring that out. The way you can, the easiest test is, do you truly love what you do? Ask yourself that question. Don't answer it for me. Like, get a journal, get a book, go to the park, go to the beach, and write down, do you truly love? Could you do this? If I gave you $500 million cash and money for the rest of your life was no object, would you keep doing this thing? And if the answer is no, you haven't found your purpose yet.
well, and there's only so no matter how much money you have in the bank, you still have to have purpose in something,
For
right?
sure.
So there's only so many vacations you can take.
Yes.
There's only so many things you can go do, and then you're just
100%.
kind of like,
Yep.
that's why so many retired people don't stay retired.
Right.
They have to
Yep.
find something to do.
Yep.
Now, they could get into a hobby or something
Yep.
like that, right? Because that's where they find their passion and their purpose, and they're doing this stuff. And I think for me, when I look at like the HVAC business, right? When it comes to like residential and even commercials this way, but I'm mostly familiar with more residential than I am commercial.
Yeah.
On the residential side, it's all about serving people, right? And I think that's why probably one of the reasons I have such a servant's heart and I'm always giving to people is because I was brought up in this business serving clients, right? Getting up from the table on Thanksgiving to go run a service call, or hey, I'm going to open presents with my kids, but then I got to go, for Christmas morning, then I got to go do this job because this family has no heat, right? So one of the greatest things I love about HVAC is that it just truly is like the servitude of others,
It
right?
is.
And I think when you really wrap your brain around that, it's more than just, well, I fix air conditioners, right? Or yeah, I get paid really good to go do this or go do that. It's like, no, man, you get paid really well to be a servant to other people.
To serve.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why any business exists. A business exists to serve.
Yeah.
We are in the service business, and that's the ultimate for those of you or those people that haven't realized it. Serving other humans, that's a purpose thing.
And
right?
that's one of the greatest things that you could ever do
Absolutely.
in your life.
Right. When I learned this and when I shifted my north from building a business to facilitating human evolution and human transformation in my organization, learning about myself, right, and then helping others to learn about themselves, that's when the pivot happened. And now that's what I do as a blue collar king, right? Yeah, scale businesses, cool, whatever. We grow, we make money, tons of money, $1 million, 10 million, 50 million, whatever. But really, I'm in the business. My true north is I'm a facilitator of human evolution and transformation. And when I stay locked on that, I'm 110% fulfilled. I'm in my lane, and I'm helping others to get exactly what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no better thing, man, than to help someone, right? And your motives just be pure.
Yes.
Yeah, because that's just your calling.
Absolutely.
And I think
Love it.
for me, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, doing this thing that's just so out of the norm in this industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I love how it's behind the mindset now. That's awesome. It's what everyone. It's what this country needs, not just in the HVAC space. This kind of stuff here is not talked about enough.
Yeah.
People need to hear this kind of stuff more, whether you like it or not, whether you believe in God or not. You will one day. Everybody's going to believe in God at some point, right? I believe people wait till it's too late, right? Like, oh, you got cancer. Now you're searching for God. Something horrible happens in your life, right? God is not like DoorDash, right? You don't just, I mean, sorry. You shouldn't think of...
there's not an app for that?
You shouldn't think of God like DoorDash. I only call him in a time of desperation. I would not advise you to operate while we're talking about mindset, I would highly advise you do not operate with that mindset.
But to be fair, most people have to hit rock bottom, right?
You do.
So it's like almost like being like a drug addict, right?
Right.
Like you got to hit rock bottom before you realize, like, dude, I really need some help here, man.
For sure.
You know?
It's back to what you said. It's a pride and ego thing, right? I don't want to embrace spirituality because of, my friends might not think I'm cool. Oh, my mom didn't, my dad didn't, whatever, right? It's a pride and ego thing. Your pride, your ego is in the way of you even dipping your toes in it. Try it.
I think we care too much in today's culture anyway. We care too much about what other people think. Right, 100%. Especially with social media. Like social media, man, it can be so toxic.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yep,
it's just so bad, dude.
Yep.
And like the comment section
don't get me going on that one.
The comment section gives 0 Fs, right? But yeah, man, I've been called some pretty nasty things.
Yep.
And you know, my kids think I'm famous, right? And I'm like, I'm not famous.
Yeah.
Like, and so they'll go like, this person at school said this about me or called me names or whatever, and I'm like, well, how does that make you feel? You know, and then we talk about it, and I go, you should see some of the things that people call me on social media. You know,
100%.
And I'm just like, you just have to choose to not let it bother you. Like I refuse to give power over me to anyone.
Absolutely.
Right. Before I would care because I wanted everybody to like me, right? And now I'm just like, dude, you either like me for who I am or you don't. And if you don't, that's okay.
Right.
You know, if you don't like what I'm talking about on my podcast, then turn it off.
Turn it off. Exactly.
You don't like
You're here listening to me. If you don't like it, hit the off button.
You don't like
and if you don't like my content, go ahead and hit the unfollow or the
button.
unfriend button. You're in my area. You're in my
domain,
dojo.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's just it's crazy,
absolutely.
man. So I refuse to let people have authority and control over me, man. I'm not I've always been like a go against the grain kind of guy anyway. So like tell me the rules and then I'm going to find a way to skirt and skate around all those rules, you know?
I love that. You have to get to a place if you truly want to grow, you have to get to a mental space, a confident space where you can embrace that. And that in itself is, again, it's hard because what does society teach us? What have our parents taught us? And it's not 100% their fault because they don't know. They haven't been given the tools. But everything in our society is what people think is success is status. Yep. So everyone's trying to fight harder for look at me on the surface level, right? And we're trying to prove ourselves up. And we even start doing it as little kids. We start lying because we don't want to tell the truth. But as little kids, we actually come out perfect. We do tattle on our brother or sister. We do call people out for doing stupid stuff that we know we shouldn't be doing. Like, why are you using a marker on the paint? That's dumb and going to get us in trouble. Don't do that, right? And then mom and dad say, oh, stop it. Don't be a tattletale. Mind your own business. So then we grow up like trying to prove how amazing we are. And then we grow up like shutting up and keeping things to ourselves. And both of those two things are totally counterintuitive to what you actually need to be doing to get to what you want.
Yeah, that's actually a really great segue. If you would have asked me 2 years ago what my definition of success was, it is grossly different than what my definition of success is today.
Correct.
So I'll ask you, what's your definition of success today?
Yes, my definition of success, it's a beautiful question, is continuous improvement. There is no finish line for me, and I think everyone can form their own, opinion or plan or goal of what success looks like. I believe as soon as you stop growing, as soon as you stop evolving in all the pillars of life, spiritual, health, mindset, fitness, helping other humans, you begin to die, right? We're all we're all going to die. That's inevitable. We're all exiting this rock, this universe. I believe that most people exit sooner than they need to because they lose purpose. They don't have a purpose. They never find their true identity. And then other numbing, sedative behaviors show up. It could be through porn. It could be through alcoholism or drugs, overeating, obesity. I mean, you lose when you don't have purpose. That's the beginning of the end of your journey. So for me, success is just keep helping people grow and continuing to grow myself. That's success for me.
That's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that's a great end.
Yeah.
So where can people find you if people wanted coaching? Just wanted to ask, maybe inquire a little bit. Where would they be able to find you?
Yeah, the best way to get me is on Instagram, The Real Blue Collar King on Instagram. Shoot me a DM. If you DM me, have any questions, I'd love to answer questions for people. I love to help you no matter where you're at on your journey. If you shoot me a DM, I will mail you a copy of my book. You can also find me on Facebook, Matt Murray Blue Collar King. And if you'd like more information on what I do, bluecollarking.com.
That's simple enough, right? Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, meeting me here in Dallas.
Yes.
At this swanky little studio.
Thanks for coming up here to do this with me. Love it.
So yeah, so I hope that we can do it again, and hopefully you get to make it to the award show in Orlando.
I'm coming. So, I'm making the commitment right now. I'll be there.
So
I'm all in.
You got to wear a tux.
Okay, I'm down. I'll do it. Can I wear a hat with my tux?
You totally can.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, totally.
I'm in then.
Right on, man. We'll see you guys next time.
Take care.